All right, let's get into our next discussion. Now, Namibia is experiencing a serious cash crunch in its economy, and the country has had to consider actualized severe budget cuts to enable it deal with its financial crisis.
Indeed. Now, some of its austerity measures include the ban on all foreign travel by public officials until the end of February. Also, Namibia's defense ministry is planning to send thousands of soldiers on leave as the army has run out of money to feed the soldiers or to even pay water and electricity bills. Even President Hage Geingob traveled on a commercial flight to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia for the African Union summit after grounding his presidential jet in a desperate move to save costs and control government expenditure.
Now, Namibia faces a serious financial crisis as a result of the global price reduction of minerals such as uranium and diamonds, which is the country's main income earner. We have joining us now African Affairs commentator Chuks Nwoko. Chuks, good morning.
Hi.
You're welcome.
Nice to see you for having me.
Right. Okay. Namibia's it's not the first time Namibia is going into or getting to impose austerity measures one way or the other, but where they find themselves now seem to be a little different from what used to be before. But if you look at the austerity measures, is that really the way to go right now when they have to send soldiers home because or soldiers on leave because they have to they can't keep up with the costs?
There are so many ways to look at it. For me, I think that we just come to the common sense and all that. And here is, I hope this interview doesn't become boring because I've had to repeat myself over and over again. There's a global economic problem. It's just common sense. It's visible to everybody in every country, from Argentina to Colombia to South Africa to Nigeria and all that. Like those who have sanctified common sense, they can, always take measures. Mike, you and I will suffer economic distress and all that, and we manage our homes. We don't go bring economists, accountants to our homes to come and manage our homes, do we? We don't. So they are doing the right thing, and unfortunately they are allowed it to come to that point where, the prices of your commodities have gone down and you don't have money to begin to take such measures. Where have you been? Where have you been? What does it need the aircraft or the fleet or the aircraft? What do you need it for a small country like Namibia? A blessed and endowed country. But again, it's an African nation occupied by black people, even though you have white people in the place. They haven't done well. Recognizing that, look, Argentina has been through economic crisis since 2001. Maybe you don't remember. There were days in 2001 they were in the street drumming. Economic crisis have been around for a very long time. That's what gave way to the Millennium Development Goals. Global crisis, global poverty, global scarcity. But because Africa is endowed, and supposed to be home and a market for the whole world to come to, we haven't been able to use our common sense. Namibia, what has happened, I think that they have no option but to do what they are doing.
But would we
because
say
the people have been going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Leadership just joined them.
Exactly, I was about to ask them, because since mid-year in 2017, in fact, Fitch ratings junked the country, and Moody's investment ratings as well, services.
Yeah,
so the country had been junked for a long time.
Absolutely, but it is when it affects leadership,
the government,
that they begin to react, like what is going on here. All this political, whatever that you're hearing, is because what you and I are going through, our politicians are beginning to feel it. So you have all this noise and agitation. Buhari did this. Nobody is telling you one good thing that the man has done. But he has tightened up everything. They are now beginning to feel it. So for the first time, leadership in Namibia is beginning to see and suffer what the ordinary citizen. They have about 50% of their population living below poverty line.
True. And there are fears now really that because of this, because people are losing their jobs, private investors rather, are not making money. Private sector is suffering a lot.
Because it's the same pattern of constantly relying on your extractive industry. Your monologue, it's diamond, it's a uranium. You can't continue to. That's the same problem. They should have seen the problem in Nigeria. Nigeria has a sole product in oil. And so we're constantly having problems, and they have the same nature of economy. And in fact, most nations in Africa, whether it's Sierra Leone or Liberia or South Africa, it's the same pattern. Now, what they were waiting for you to come to the country is what I don't understand. You need to find alternative means of
Namibia is a really beautiful country.
Beautiful.
When it comes to tourism, they have so much to offer the world. And that now that the president has decided to stop using the fleets for now, we remember Joyce Banda in Malawi had to sell off the presidential fleet. But looking at it from the broader perspective, the big brother in Southern Africa, South Africa as a country, are we looking forward to the possibility of coming to assist Namibia?
How is that going to happen? That's South Africa that superintended the country for so many years. They are very... By the way, the question to ask, when he was going to Ethiopia for the meeting, why didn't he fly with the South African president?
Exactly.
Why don't you fly? They are so close. They have an everlasting relationship. Can South Africa help? I don't think so. They have their own issues. They have, I mean, you know about xenophobia. What gave rise to xenophobia? There's economic crisis, there's corruption, there's economic crisis in South Africa. How they are going to be able to help, I do not see that. And I think that's how they got to where they are. They have Angola that is doing very well as a neighbor. Maybe they don't have a good relationship. But like you said, you have these mineral resources that you extract that gives you money. The price has gone down, you're in this crisis. Mozambique has been promoting, and even Guinea has been promoting what they have in Namibia. What do they have? They have great parks. They have what can bring them billions of dollars in terms of tourism. But they are not doing anything about it. You know, and Namibia is a very rich country. Very, very rich country. I believe that they've just completely run the place down, you know, through corruption and all sorts of mismanagement. But where they are right now, for me, I'm glad for them because they need to put on their thinking cap and begin to let the investors who are in that country and cheating them, like we have companies in Nigeria who are investors here, but they take both the tax and don't remit whatever. They suffer the same thing. You have fishing companies, you have other investors who just come to the place and run around them and take the money out of the country. And that is what they need to look at right now because they are going to face enormous problems if they do not deal with this issue because of insecurity.
Do they really have professionals?
They do. They have about 200,000.
That the government is talking to. That's because some Namibians are complaining that is why the country is where it is. That some people that were not qualified were in some positions and they mismanaged.
That's the corruption, but
they are doing
enough qualified and skilled people that can, you know, help the country to recover if they utilize them. But I like where they are right now, where the president and the government officials have come to their senses that, look, the way we're living is not helping us.
Continue this way.
So let them sit down and begin to find way and think of how they can recover. But it is very, very good that they got to this point. More also, they enjoy a smaller population. So
it's
they
about
can,
2 million,
manage
a little above 2 million.
Yeah, just a little above 2 million population. They can recover if they put on their thinking cap. But the way they have lived is the way we have lived here. But they're also lucky that their population is small. Here we have a massive population where you have these destructive elites. Once they fall out of favor and they don't have access to all those things that they used to have, that Buhari has locked, they start protesting. They don't have that there. So they can recover fast and fast if they just do the right thing.
All right, if they have to take steps towards recovering from this situation they find themselves now, what would you suggest should be the first steps to take?
The month of February is not enough to make the sacrifice that they need to make. They need to, here we don't like pains, they need to go through the pains and then make the gains. They need to give up more, not just stopping your officials from traveling and grounding your fleet and all that. No, you're going to make the necessary sacrifice, change your lifestyle, minimize, you know, your lifestyle in terms of expenditure, not just in travel terms. Then begin to develop your people. They need to build more schools in some area, create more jobs, and they have a very strong version of EFCC. They need to get the investors in those countries to stop taking the money out of the country. They need to pay tax. They can generate a lot of money from tax. They need to do that urgently.
And they talked about tourism earlier too.
Then, well, this is not the time. Any investment in tourism now is going to take time in making the returns on investment. But I don't know what they have been waiting for to emulate countries like Mozambique and Botswana. Those countries have done very well with tourism. Emulate them because they are blessed with great parks, with wildlife, and very, very nice environment that they can promote. They haven't done enough on that. And I think that, the anti-corruption agency needs to work harder to retrieve some of the money they have lost.
All right, Fitch Rate is saying that it doesn't think the country would, recover quickly from its economic
I don't see them recovering quickly because, you see, you know how long it took to build this studio. If you want to pull it down, it's not going to take you how many days? The place has been run down. They waited for too long to do what they just did. So they need to be patient to, creatively create a way out of the mess they are in. It's not just the stoppage of foreign travel by officials. They need to cut down on all kinds of things, minimize their lifestyle, bring in change in their lifestyle, and they will be home and dry. They will recover. Because look, Namibia, they are blessed. Don't forget, it's one of the richest countries in Africa. This thing happened as a result of countries in Africa. This thing happened as a result of carelessness. A small population.
So per capita
it's a large land space, but with a very small population. They are well organized, but it's corruption and this lifestyle that is just out of this world that has caused this problem. And they were waiting for the price of your major income source to go down before you realize that there's need for you to talk to yourselves. So now that it has happened, I believe that this is a good time for them. They're not under great pressure. Sit down and organize yourselves, and you will recover. They will recover.
All right.
It might just take time.
What would be the place of taking loans to stimulate the economy again?
Take loan from where?
Maybe China.
Maybe China, but I don't know if they have a relationship, but definitely not International Monetary Fund or World Bank. Those institutions, I have never seen where they have helped any African country. Like I always say to you when I come here, they never bother to check the owners of those institutions. Those institutions are owned by institutions and by individuals. Their interest is never to help you. And by the way, if you check them, you'll find out that the reason those institutions were set up was to help developing countries, but they have not helped. Their primary objective. So if you go to China, I agree with you, China is a good place to look at because even China and Asian countries, they have set up their own block. Financial institution. We have such institutions in Africa. Maybe they should go to African Development
Bank.
But definitely not World Bank. I will not recommend World Bank to anybody. And the simple reason is because as a young man, I saw Babangida deal with World Bank on behalf of the rest of us against our advice and what we got from it. And every time they are writing reports and all, you should ignore those things. Find a creative way. There's so much information on how to live. I mean, how do you and I live in the face of prevailing harsh economic situation in Nigeria? How do you live? How do you live? You just manage. You are creative in your expenditure. You adjust and all that. There's no magic to it. That's how nations. That's why I like what they have done. That's how nations do. It's only Nigeria and a few other countries like South Africa that don't think that way. We just think that.
Things will take care of themselves.
So when is Buhari is saying no and banning these, shutting this door and all that, and you are hearing this noise, I just sit there in my house and I laugh because the man, I believe the man is doing the right thing. So when these big men in our politics are not having access to what they used to have, they start organizing all these movements and all that. For me and any young Nigerian who is thinking, we will get out of this pain. We must ignore these guys who are making this noise. It's because life is no longer the way it used to be for them. So for Namibians, in the next 2, 3, 5 years, if they do the right things and make the right decisions, they will recover.
All right. Okay. Chuks Nwoko, African Affairs commentator. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Okay.
My pleasure.